Hi, and welcome to Toni Time. Well, it's great to have you here. If you're watching us in the morning or at night, get a cocktail or coffee or both. But I want to welcome to our show Amy Clearwater on City Council. She's a lovely woman. She's been on our show before. And we want to welcome you back, Amy.
Thank you, Toni. It's lovely to be here.
It's great to have you here. So you're running for City Council.
I am.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. It's the first time I've ever run for something.
Really?
It's a learning. Yeah. Have you ever run for anything?
Oh, yeah, but it doesn't count. Okay. Yeah, but it doesn't count.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I ran for like school stuff, like student body activities and stuff in law school, but this is a much different experience from that.
So what do you think is, happening? I mean, there's a lot going on in Biddeford.
It's a busy, busy time. My goodness.
And I love hearing you talk when we're videotaping the council meetings.
Thank you.
You have such a way with words.
Oh, all right.
No,
Thank you.
No, you really do. You will say something, and it's just your tone, and everybody smiles.
I appreciate that.
I'm watching it, and I'm jaded, so.
You are watching it. I want to point out for the folks at home that they don't get to see your smiling face when they watch Council on TV, but you are there, and if you're not there, one of these lovely gentlemen is there.
Right.
And we really appreciate all that you do for us. I think it's a pretty thankless gig, videotaping City Council and other city meetings, but it's very important.
It's very important because, the audience needs to see what's going on, be kept up to date. So now tell me, you're running for your first time.
Yep.
What is your goal?
Being elected.
Number one.
I think the broadest goal I have, I tried not to go into City Council with too many preconceived notions. When I was appointed last year, it was a very steep learning curve. Becoming a new city councilor takes a long time to figure out what the heck is going on.
Okay.
So now that I feel that I know roughly what's going on, I think the biggest problem we have is communication.
You're right.
I mean, you sit at those meetings week after week and there's nobody there. And I think there is a temptation to say, well, people used to come. We've been doing it the same way. And now nobody comes, so something must have changed about the people.
Generation?
I don't think that's right. I'm sure
it's a generation.
Perhaps there's a generational difference, but I certainly know a lot of very committed, very engaged, very thoughtful people who are my age or younger who live in town, and they don't know what's going on unless I call them up and say, hey, I need you to come to this meeting because a decision is being made and I think you should know about it. So I think we need to find a way to better engage with people. And we're not alone in that. I mean, this is a global phenomenon, certainly a United States-wide phenomenon that with the decline of the print media, I mean, we just lost our local newspaper.
I know.
That's a real, genuine struggle that we're going to have to find a complicated policy solution for. And I don't have the answer yet, but I certainly will continue to work on that because I think that is pretty fundamental to people being confident that decisions are being made thoughtfully and well. And we need to have that. People need to be confident that the folks sitting on that dais are trying hard and thinking things through and doing their homework. And I can tell you that they are.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody I sit up there with does a good job and really thinks hard about every decision we make. But the fact that people don't know that is a problem in my mind. So I would like to work on communication first and foremost.
Well, it doesn't help with our local newspaper.
I know.
But it's very sad, but I always think someone or something's going to pop up, which will give new life.
Yeah. I mean, the only constant in life is change, and we're going to find a new way to do things. But this is a time of significant change, I think, in the way government interacts with people and the way people get their news media, and we're living through something that's going to have historical ramifications for sure.
I agree, but I really don't think people, there's so much out there. City Hall has, as you know, a website that you can go and watch a meeting online.
Yes.
You can watch it on our cable access.
And a lot of people do.
And they do.
I hear from folks a lot who send me emails or give me a call. Definitely having the tapes out there on the website for people to watch in their own time is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
And I also think I know a lot of City Hall is on Facebook. There's a lot of social media out there.
We're trying. Goodness knows folks are trying.
It's out there, but I really think somehow, some way, the communication, is it something that they're not hearing what they want to hear? Or is it the fact that they don't have time for it? There's so many reasons, but I don't think you're not doing a good job.
Thank you.
I really don't.
I think you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
It's not for lack of trying. We just haven't found the solution yet. And I'm not willing to stop looking.
No, I know you're not.
Trying.
Excuse the expression, but you're like a dog with a bone.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
I've got
true.
3 dogs. You've got 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
We know all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to find a way that it's going to click into people.
Yeah.
Now, I watched the meeting, I was videotaping the meeting on Hills Beach. There was a crowd there.
There was a crowd there.
It was the Hills Beach people
Yep.
that believed in something, and they were there at the meeting. And I watched everybody on the console give ideas, debate, give their opinions. And didn't you do a sidebar, or didn't somebody call?
Yes, it got called to go to executive session.
Right.
On the grounds that it was a negotiation of essentially a lease.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that the council was relatively consistent in what our goals were for as we negotiated. Yeah.
But I thought that was great. I think that
It was lovely having people there, and I think it's a lot easier when you're trying to come up with good solutions. It really helps to have everybody's input.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're just 9 people, and the mayor and the city manager and the city solicitor, but there are roughly 22,000 other people who live here, and they have a lot of good ideas, and we love to hear from them. It helps a lot.
It does, and I'm glad you said that, because the audience need to hear that you want to hear from them. You want to hear the ideas.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to think that a lot of the people in the audience think their idea isn't good enough, but you don't know until you voice it.
Everybody's just folks.
I know.
We're just the people who happen to have the time to try and help their neighbors run the budget and keep the taxes reasonable and keep the city moving forward.
Right.
We're not trained city managers. We have one of those.
Yeah.
But the others of us are folks who live here. And so anybody should feel comfortable to call me up with an idea. I'm happy to hear it. And I think there's also, because a small crew of people does come to a lot of meetings, there's a sense that because the 9 of us on the dais don't always agree with those folks, that we don't listen.
Right.
But that's not representative of what's actually happening. I hear from a lot more people via email or over the phone, and of course at public places people come up to me all the time. I get recognized in the grocery store, largely because
you do.
Folks are watching this after the fact or from their homes. And I would say that the decisions that we've come to are absolutely in keeping with the majority of people who are contacting us. And it's hard because that conversation doesn't always happen in the meeting.
No, it doesn't.
So if people came to the meetings and everybody were talking openly, it would be lovely. But I recognize what a time commitment that is. It's hard for me to get out of work in time to get to the meetings.
Yeah, because all of you have a job.
Correct. Some of us have several.
Several.
Yeah. And it's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot. I understand that.
So, going forward, what is your goal? Besides communication.
Yeah. I think retaining the momentum that we're seeing while preserving this as a comfortable place for folks to live. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see people get priced out of this community.
Oh, I know.
And I was frustrated to see that there were a lot of missed opportunities to enact things like affordable housing policy as we started to see this situation developing.
Yeah.
Long before I was on the council. And the council who came before and the mayor have done a beautiful job of moving the city forward.
Oh, yeah.
And they have built this momentum, and I'm very grateful for that. But we can't lose sight of the fact that there are some folks who really are going to be pinched in this.
Yeah.
And we need to find ways to support this community holistically.
I mean, I always get very impatient.
You? Impatient? Never. Me too.
Yeah. It's like you have an idea and you want to do it.
Yeah.
Now.
Or yesterday would be good.
That would even be better.
Yeah. Yeah.
What horoscope sign are you?
Oh, it depends on whether you're doing the new horoscope or the old
I'm doing the old one.
Okay, good. Gemini. Though I don't know a lot about it myself.
Twins. Okay.
Perhaps you would be in a better position to tell people whether I'm consistent with my sign style.
She is.
Great.
She is. I'm a Leo. So.
My wife is one of those.
Oh, there you go. You know Leos.
This is why we get along so well.
This is why
Toni.
we get along. But, you talk about assisted housing and not getting people priced out. It's real scary because my gut feeling is it's not going to happen right away.
No, nothing about any kind of political situation happens right away. But I would say that there is broadly a good vision for how to do this that will protect people. So, for example, housing values in Biddeford are going up. There's not a thing we can do about it. It's market pressure from all around us, coupled with the fact that this place has become a nicer place to live. People like the idea of it, and if you're priced out of Portland, if you're priced out of Portsmouth, if you're priced out of Boston, people are commuting from Biddeford to Boston. This is a great place to be.
Yeah.
But because of that, and because of the way a tax bill is calculated, your tax bill is multiplied, is a percentage multiplied by the valuation of your house. Housing values are going up faster than commercial values are going up, right? So if we do nothing, if City Council just sat back and said, well, it seems nice, so we'll just let it all happen, a higher percentage of the city's budget would wind up being paid by residential property taxes because of the way math works and because of inflation and because of a whole bunch of things that I wish I could control, but I can't.
Right.
And so the goal is to increase commercial development to offset the valuation increase in residential property values. So that's when we say things like trying to make more use of the downtown, trying to encourage people to build office space, trying to encourage people to repurpose some of our buildings into places where people can get good jobs. That will help not only with the tax base, but it will also help, imagine if 200 more people were going to lunch downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah, there will be some traffic snarl-ups because of that, and that's just true, and we'll react to them best we can.
Right.
But that's a better problem to have than not being able to pay to keep the city running, because at least there will be more cafes, there will be more shops. The folks who run Elements will be more comfortable knowing that people are going there to have a hummus plate at lunchtime because there are more people, and that on balance is a rising tide. It's just trying to make sure that as we're doing that, we're keeping an eye on what we can do to support folks who say you own a 2-unit building and you live in one side and you rent out the other side. I want to make sure that those folks, both the tenant and the landlord, are able to stay in the community. We're working on it.
You explained it beautifully.
Thanks, Toni.
You explained it in such a way that even I think the audience and myself, it's not city council raising the taxes.
Oh, heck no.
It's the state.
Well, and just inflation.
Right.
The tax rate of the city of Biddeford has not kept up with inflation.
Right.
There's nothing I can do about that. We all know what inflation is.
Yeah.
People say, why hasn't my tax bill gone down? Why hasn't your heat bill gone down? And why hasn't CMP lowered the prices? Because that's the way money works. And I can't fix it.
No.
And so we need to find more complicated solutions, unfortunately. Because believe you me, there are a lot of very thoughtful, knowledgeable, price-sensitive folks on that council looking for ways to not spend money.
Oh, yeah.
We are looking. There's not a whole lot of new, exciting stuff that we're taking risky chances on and spending money that way. We're keeping the lights on.
Yeah.
And so if the price is still going up, we're going to have to do some more interesting things to make sure that folks remain comfortably in their homes. And that work is being done.
It is.
You see it, you come to the meetings.
Oh, yeah.
There are thoughtful conversations about that in some form almost every time we talk, because we are trying so hard to make sure that people who are, say, on a fixed income are able to live here as long as they would like to live here.
Yeah.
And the mayor just started a new effort to try and find some sort of accommodation for seniors because they're in a very precarious position and they're less able to move. We don't want folks who are on a fixed income who've been here for 50 years to have to sell their house.
Right.
And they might make some money when they sell their house, and that's kind of good for them in a way.
For the moment.
But it's not what they're looking for
No.
long term. And so the mayor has taken some initiatives to try and see what interesting solutions we might be able to find.
See, that's why I wanted you to come on the show so we could talk about this from different points of view, because I've had a lot of the council members on. And I have the highest regard for all of you. I've learned so much.
Oh.
And to hear each point of view, I think helps the audience know that it's not city council raising taxes or being mean or selfish. It's none of that.
No.
It's just inflation.
To a large extent, it's inflation and contracts that we're locked into that are, keeping folks with good jobs who live in our community. I don't begrudge the fire department and the police department their contractual due.
I watch them get up and they give an account. The police department, the fire department, they have their numbers, and I've listened to them whenever any of you ask them a question. Well, wait a minute, I have it right here.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep.
You never see that in Manhattan.
I bet you do.
Well, no.
Government at all levels is full of people who are trying so hard.
They are.
I came into this thinking surely there's some bad-intentioned person in there and I'm going to find him and root him out. There's
not.
Nobody up there who thinks I'm just in this to get the little guy. They're not.
No.
There are folks who are more conservative than me, and I disagree with some of the ways they want to go about things, but we all have absolutely the same intention at heart.
Exactly.
Which is to do our best to balance a lot of competing interests. And at the end of the day, we're just 22,000 people who have pooled our resources to try and keep the roads plowed and the schools open and do our best. And everybody's pulling in the same direction on the rope.
When you're elected,
From your lips to God's ears, Toni. Yes?
well, gosh. When you're elected, and, you know, I just asked you what you saw in the future, what is your goal? Are you going to feel more of a push now? Not that you didn't before, because you were learning the lay of the land.
Yes, and I had taken over for Victoria.
Right.
And recognizing that no one had elected me to anything.
I know.
I didn't want to be too wild and crazy. In the event that I get reelected, I think it's a good, it's a confidence boost for me, if that happens, to know that people broadly agree with trying hard, doing your best, doing your homework, and that's what I will continue to do. And probably a little bit louder, simply because I'll feel like, okay, now,
you picked me.
Yeah, I was chosen. They know who I am now.
Yeah.
And so,
Better watch out.
yeah. Well, you know I don't hold back too much anyway.
No, you don't. That's why I adore you. No, you don't. And I think that's great. Because I've watched you after the meetings. I mean, you might have been in a meeting for 2 hours. You worked all day. And when the meeting is over and I close my little room up and I walk out, you're standing there still talking to a group of people.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is important for folks to know what a big job this is.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, as a state, we've all agreed that what we want is an amateur legislature. Our legislators, our senators and House of Reps folks, they have full-time jobs and they try and do the legislating. Same with city council. Yes, I'm paid $100 a month, but I would say on an average week, I spend between 10 and 20 hours a week doing city stuff.
Yeah.
I'm on a lot of boards. I go to a lot of meetings. I have coffee with a lot of people to say, oh, here's your idea and my idea, and great, let's talk it out. The meetings themselves, the actual council meetings, take a lot of time. And it's a huge investment that the folks up there are making.
Oh, yeah.
And Mark Lessard's been up there on and off since I think 1993.
I think so.
That guy deserves a gold star.
Oh, yeah.
He and I don't agree about everything.
Yeah.
It's 50-50.
Right, right.
But I respect his commitment.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is a hard gig.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody up there is working hard and doing their best. And I appreciate being with them.
See, this is why I wanted you on the show. I wanted people to know the Amy I know.
Thank you. Yeah, there are some very entertaining rumors about me, Toni.
Oh, is there?
Yes. Here's my favorite one.
Okay, I want to hear this.
Is that I spent most of my life in Brooklyn. And I don't know whether people are bad at math or bad at facts. But I would just like to reiterate that I grew up in Kennebec County, went to Maine public schools, K through 12, then went to the University of Maine at Farmington. All of this time I was in Maine. And then I went to Maine Law, where I was still in Maine. That makes me, 25? And then I worked in Maine for a time, but there was a big recession right around when I graduated from law school.
Yeah.
And I did have to go to New York to find a job that would allow me to pay off my law school loans. And so I was in New York for perhaps up to 4 years, but I'm 35. So
Okay.
I'll let folks do the math.
Let them do the math.
I was gone for a total of 4 years.
But you've lived in Brooklyn your whole
My whole life. You go there once and you're from that place. That's
That's
definitely
it.
how New Yorkers feel about
Oh,
it,
yeah.
right? They love it when people show up and say they're from New York.
Oh, yeah.
They don't. No, I'm a Mainer through and through.
See,
And there's also an interesting rumor that I'm a very corporate fat cat. And I would like to dispel that because I'm a very progressive liberal whose grandparents just worked in a different textile mill than the one in Biddeford. My grandparents worked in the one in Winthrop. My parents didn't go to college. We struggled hard as I grew up, and I've paid my own way through school, and I'm still paying for it. And yeah, I don't know. I'm very keenly aware of the economic struggles of our community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? People are saying all this?
Yeah. It's entertaining because when I was a kid, I was too poor. People didn't like me because I was poor. And now people don't like me because they think I'm too rich. So I'm not sure what amount of money somebody's allowed to have.
Isn't it
There
funny
must
how
be
people...
a perfect amount, and I guess I
Yeah,
don't
there has to
have
be that one amount that...
That everyone will like you?
Yeah,
I
no.
don't think it's true.
No.
I'm not waiting around for that.
No, not at all.
No.
I think it's so funny. And I also hear you're working on adopting.
We are.
Child.
We just got our license. So we're looking to adopt kids through foster care.
Yeah.
Kids whose parental rights have already been terminated. So, for example, a kid who is taken from their home, the goal of the state is to try and reunite that family. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of cases, that works.
Yeah.
But for kids whose parents really aren't safe and aren't capable of taking care of them, if those kids are older than, say, 6 or 8, they have a pretty hard time finding a permanent adoptive home. And so we would like to adopt those kids. So we've already gotten our license. It's quite a long process. You have to take classes. The fire marshal comes to your house to make sure it's safe. They check your references. You do a background check. You get fingerprinted. A lady comes to your house and looks in every room, in every closet, and it was a many-hour interview to talk about all of our childhoods and what we wanted to do as a family and would we have dinner together every night. And now we have received our license. Great. Yeah.
So now what happens?
So now we're going to get through the selection at the very least. And then we will start to meet kids at some point.
What's your wife's name?
Alexa.
Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
So the two of you have been wanting this for a long time.
We have,
I
yeah.
kind of had that feeling.
I have always wanted it. My parents always said if we just had a little more room and a little more money, we could provide a home to so many kids. And when I was a little child, I donated money to Maine's Home for Little Wanderers every Christmas. Like, this has been on my mind for my whole life. I just don't think it's right that some kids, by accident of birth, don't have a fair shot.
I know.
And I want to provide that for as many kids as I can.
Oh.
And luckily, she's on board.
Thank you, Alexa.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, you have a lot going on.
I do.
And we're at the end of our show.
That's great, because I got to get back to work.
I know you do. And this is why I wanted to kidnap you for 45 minutes.
Thank you, Toni, for this kidnapping.
It's a good kidnapping, isn't it?
It's a fun way to be kidnapped, I gotta say. Highly recommend to the folks at home.
But I want to thank you for your time, Amy, and being on the show and, you know, kind of letting everybody know who you are and what you believe and what you're fighting for.
Thank you for the opportunity, Toni.
You're very welcome. And I want to thank everybody for watching the show today. And we will be back with you with other shows next week. Have a good day. Bye-bye.